All right, guys, so now let's talk about defining methods. So defining methods is important just like functions in other languages, okay? So let's say, for example, we come here and we say define, right? We use the keyword of define, then we put in the name of this method. So we're gonna call this adding, okay? And then from there, we're gonna pass in arguments. So arguments are like variables within this methods. So I'm going to declare a variable or a argument called A and another one called B, okay? So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put in end. Now inside of here, this is called a code block, okay? So anything within defined and end, that's the code block, okay? This is where we're gonna write our code. Now here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say something like this: A plus B, okay? And in other languages, you will see this more often where you will say something like this: return A plus B. But in Ruby and Crystal, you don't have to do that. Automatically, it already thinks that the last line in your code is actually a return method, okay? So we're gonna come here and say this. We're gonna say adding, okay? So we use the parentheses to call this method, and then now we pass in the arguments. So if you see that there's two arguments, automatically you gotta know this, like, hey, it's expecting two arguments. You cannot call a method without knowing exactly how many arguments are in there. If you pass in the wrong amount of arguments, you're gonna get some errors. So for example, if I come here and I say 2, right, and I run this code, I say clear, and I say here Crystal Playground, it's gonna tell me, hey, raw number of arguments given 1, expected 2. Okay, so it's expecting 2 of them, so A and B. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna say I'm gonna pass in the 4, and then now come back to the terminal, run this. It says okay, everything ran. Now it's not showing anything because we're not actually printing anything. Now if I come here, I say puts adding 2 and 4, the thing that's going to be returned is 6. So when we say puts, it's actually printing out the number 6. Okay, now we can actually use a method to assign a variable. So I could come here and say total apples, okay, and then say adding equals, well, total apples equals to adding. So what's gonna happen is I'm passing 2 and 4. So when that runs, automatically it's gonna go through the method, it's gonna come here to the code block, and it's gonna look at this and say A plus B equals 2 plus 4, which is 6. So now adding is actually becoming the number 6. So now total apples is assigned the number 6. So when we come here and say puts total apples, you'll see that it'll print out number 6. Okay, now methods are really useful when you want to use a lot of logic that you don't want to rewrite every single time. So for example, I can come here, do something like this. I could say define, let's say user info. Okay, so I'm going to pass in this. I'm gonna say let's say name, let's say age, let's say okay, name, age, and let's say city. Okay, so within this I can come here and create this whole logic for this user information that we're going to get. So let's say we're using the user's name. So we say if name equals to Joe, right? If name equals to Joe, then inside of that we're going to write some code. Okay, for now I'm just gonna leave it blank. I'm gonna say else, and then I'm going to put in the ends. Okay, now if it's equal to Joe, we're going to say something like this. We're gonna print by saying put name, okay, and let's put this within some good old parentheses and some good old quotes, so we could make it a string. So we'll say, Joe, welcome back. Okay. Now, what we're gonna do here on the else statement, we're gonna take this, put this here, and we're gonna say something like this. Sorry, we don't know you. Okay. But now we can also come in here and put in more logic to this. So we're printing out welcome back. If age is greater than 18, we can also come here and say put you are older than 18, you can buy cigarettes. Okay, or let's just put in you can buy cigs. Now the next thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna put in an else statement and put in put you too young, can't smoke. Okay, end this. All right, and then now we can come here and also do something like this. Now, if age is greater than 18, okay, you can buy cigarettes. Also, if age, okay, we can say if age greater than 18, that's fine. If age greater than 21, you can say put you can drink. Okay, and there we go. All right, so now we're using this logic, right? So now we can come here, we can at the same time copy this. Now we're gonna put in this down here, and as you can see, it's a lot of logic that we're putting in, and this is just like a simple example. Okay, so now we can use this user info, say user info, pass in the name of James. Okay, we're gonna put in the age of 17. Okay, and then we're gonna put in the city of Boston. Okay, save that. Next thing that we're going to do, we're gonna come here and put in Joe. We're gonna put in let's say 19. Oops, 19. Let's put in NYC. And then for this one, we're gonna say something like this. Cindy, 19. Change this to 28 and leave it as NYC. Let's run this code. Let's clear this. Okay, Crystal Playground. It says, James, sorry, we don't know you. You too young, can't smoke. Joe, welcome back. You are older than 18. You can buy cigs. Cindy, sorry, we don't know you. You're older than 18. You can buy cigs and you can drink. Okay, so as you can see, we basically came in here and reused the code that we did here for multiple users. Okay, so at the same time, we can also come in and basically reuse this code whenever we want at any time. All right, now this is one way to use methods, okay, for reusable code. Also too, I want to remind you guys, you can come here and put as many arguments as you want, but it's not recommended. Just use a certain amount of arguments. You shouldn't use 20 different arguments. Like, you don't want to come here and have to have like a method where you're literally coming here. Like, let's say, imagine a method like this, like, you know, like how freaking annoying and like dirty that looks. Like, user info will have 20 different arguments. Like, you don't want to do that at all. All right, so guys, this is how you actually define a method. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.